Welcome to the Kentucky State-Funded Preschool All-Stars Quality Process Training, Part 1. This video will provide you with an overview of the Kentucky State-Funded Preschool All-Stars Quality Process. This video provides an overview of the Kentucky State-Funded Preschool All-Stars regulatory guidance and the All-Stars domains and standards, including required standards and the related point system. Under Kentucky regulatory statute, preschool sites providing state-funded preschool services are required to participate in the Kentucky All-Stars rating system at level 3 or above. Each preschool site will be assigned a STARS level, which is determined by evidence provided within 4 domains. The STARS level certification will be renewed every 3 years. For All-Stars Level 3, sites must obtain at least 21 points. For a Level 4, at least 31 points are required. And for a Level 5, at least 41 points are required. Each preschool site will be required to provide evidence of meeting standards within the domains of family and community engagement, classroom and instructional quality, staff qualifications and professional development, and administrative leadership practices. Each domain has a minimum number of points that must be obtained within that domain. In addition to the minimum required points, additional evidence must be provided to acquire sufficient points for each level. The scoring rubric listed each domain and standard, along with suggested documentation for each of the standards, is available in the Quality folder in the Berea RTC Preschool Administrator Shared Drive. In addition to this point system, there are additional requirements that each site must complete. At least 2 points are required from the domain of family and community engagement. The points can be for any standards within the domain. Many of the standards within this domain are in line with state-funded preschool regulatory guidance, so should be fairly easy for programs to document. This slide lists additional standards associated with family and community engagement. As a reminder, all of this information is available within the Quality folder in the Berea RTC Preschool Administrator Shared Drive. The domain of classroom and instructional quality has required standards that must be met, in addition to standards that are awarded points. The first required standard is that 50% of teaching staff have professional learning activities and developmental screening. Teaching staff is defined as lead teachers and teaching assistants. The additional required standards involve classroom observations within 1/3 of classrooms at each site. The classrooms to be observed will be determined by the preschool unit of the Office of Special Education and Early Learning at KDE. Required classroom observations include an environmental self-assessment appropriate for the ages settings of children served, an environmental observation using the Teaching Pyramid Observation tool, and a basic care checklist. In addition to the required standards within the classroom and instructional quality domain, each site must document at least 8 points. As mentioned previously, a list of these standards and suggested documentation for the standards is available in the Berea RTC Administrator Shared Drive. This slide lists additional standards with associated points possible within the domain of classroom and instructional quality. The domain of staff qualifications and professional development also has required standards that must be met. These include quality process training for the preschool coordinator or designee, and pyramid model training for the preschool coordinator or designee and all lead teachers. Program or site administrator and teaching staff credentials are also addressed within this domain. Pyramid model training is differentiated based on All-Stars levels. For a Level 3, at least introduction to the pyramid model must be completed. For a Level 4, introduction to the pyramid model and pyramid model modules 1 and 2 must be completed. And for a Level 5, introduction to the pyramid and pyramid model modules 1 through 4 must be completed. And again, this training is for preschool coordinator or designee and all lead teachers. In addition to the required standards within the staff qualifications and professional development domain, at least 2 points must be documented for this domain. Standards and associated points from this domain are listed on this slide and are also available within the quality folder in the Berea RTC Preschool Administrator Shared Drive. This slide lists additional standards and associated points for this domain. The standards on this slide are tied to the Kentucky Early Childhood Career Lattice. This is the current Kentucky Early Childhood Career Lattice. This document is available within the quality folder in the Berea RTC Preschool Administrator Shared Drive. The Career Lattice is currently being revised through the work of the Governor's Office of Early Childhood. The domain of administrative and leadership practices has required standards around pyramid model implementation for sites that wish to achieve a level 4 or level 5. For a level 4 and 5, programs or sites must have an established leadership team that meets regularly. And the leadership team must be associated with pyramid model implementation. For a level 5, programs or sites must provide coaching around pyramid model implementation to teaching staff and must complete the pyramid model benchmarks of quality assessment. Programs must then develop an action plan around the benchmarks of quality assessment to support ongoing pyramid model implementation. In addition to the required standards, preschool sites must document at least 2 points within the administrative and leadership practices domain. This slide lists additional standards and associated points within the administrative and leadership practices domain. Most of the documentation for Kentucky state-funded preschool quality All-Stars will be uploaded to the GMAP quality supplement. Documentation of pyramid model components will be reported separately. More information about documentation of standards will be discussed in Kentucky state-funded preschool All-Stars quality process Part 2. This concludes Part 1 of the Kentucky State-Funded Preschool All-Stars Quality Process Training. Part 2 will provide more specific details in regard to documenting site and program compliance with the All-Stars standards.